wear as a woman when I wake up on Monday? What do I wear as a woman when I wake up on Tuesday? And what do I wear throughout the whole week as a woman on the weekend? Does it matter what I wear, being an offspring of Adam and Eve and a representation of Eve? Our first mother, Eve, messed up. She listened to the serpent, Satan, when she ate of the forbidden fruit. And what was the result? She knew after Adam took of the fruit, both of them knew they were naked and ashamed. And the result was punishment, a curse. What did the Most High do? He made coats of skins and clothed them to do what? Cover them up. Genesis 3:21. He did not make pants for Adam and Eve to show off their bodies. According to the Bible, modesty or modest apparel has always been the model or stable for women for thousands of years. If wearing the attire of a harlot is the standard model for women, then what are you selling? What are you selling? What are you selling? You are selling your soul to Satan. Do you know the law requires us to have car insurance in the event we are in an accident? Some states can put you in jail for not having a license and insurance. So what is it called when you have insurance? It's called coverage. And what is it that you must have in your coverage? Whether you will either receive more or less, whether you were at fault or not. It's called a policy. You and me, we've all been taught to fear the law of the land and the government behind it. You would not ride around in your car without coverage. Now get used to it, because you're going to be hearing that word coverage a lot, because it is very important. But what about one who is the ruler of it all? And his laws are far above and greater than the government. It might be in your eyes how you think the Most High sees you, and you feel it's okay. But how about in his sight, how he truly sees you? And only at the end, when you die, you receive your punishment. Or he can decide to punish you while you are yet alive. And that policy is called modesty. And you need to be covered. When Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, they knew they were naked. they needed to be covered. For thousands of years, throughout biblical books, you'll see where there was a danger of being uncovered. And when a woman was uncovered in the Bible by a man, it was punishable by death, or they would die childless. As I mentioned, coverage. We must have coverage. Women must have coverage. And what is coverage? Your insurance. And what does insurance fall under? What's your policy? Let me see your policy. Your policy is modesty, and modesty is the policy. Now, what does the scripture say about modest apparel, being modest in dress? Now, as I mentioned about having coverage and having the policy, which is modesty, modesty is the policy. We're living in a time and world today where it's not a shame for a woman to show her body. However, in the Bible, in the scriptures, it was a shame for a woman's body to be uncovered, because those private parts of a woman was never to be seen by a man. Those private parts that the Most High created that woman for was for her husband. It was not for her to parade around in her nakedness showing everybody. Which shows you that when you see any woman that's doing that in today's time, you know that she's demon possessed by demons that's causing her to show her nakedness without shame. Because again, in ancient times, in the scriptures, it was a shame. And when a man uncovered a woman's nakedness, it was punishable by death. And sometimes that man or woman would die childless because of it. That's how serious the matter was in the Bible, under the law. Because nakedness was something for that husband and wife to see. It was holy. It was sacred. It wasn't something for everybody to see a woman's private parts. That's why being in modest apparel and covering yourself covers all those private parts. And it keeps you in that right place with the Most High, with respect. You know, when a man sees a woman with a modest apparel on, with a dress on, she's not showing her body, no tight-fitting clothing, that man has respect for her. He talks and treats her differently. But when you see a woman showing her butt, her breasts, and all her body parts, you notice the behavior of men. You notice how they address her, because they know this woman is wearing an attire of a harlot, as opposed to a woman that's modestly dressed with loose-fitting clothing on that's covering her body. He's not going to address that woman as, ooh, look at that woman. He's not going to do that. He's going to do that to the woman that is dressing in the attire of a harlot, because why? She's selling something. So the scriptures is very clear about women covering, about having coverage, covering themselves in modest apparel. Now let's go to it. 1 Timothy 2 and 9 and 10. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works. The scriptures lets us know modest apparel. What is modest? Modest is good behavior, orderly. And it also means being humble with humility. Dressing yourself with loose-fitting clothing. What a loose-fitting dress, not showing nobody parts. Again, those private parts were for that husband. But women professing godliness. A woman is to profess godliness by her good behavior of dressing inwardly as well as outwardly, which is professing holiness and godliness. That's the standard. Now another verse of scripture is 1 Peter 3:34, who says the same like matter that Timothy says, same scriptures confirming. Whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold, or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. Now, Peter is again confirming what Timothy said about a woman. A woman is not to dress and decorate herself outwardly for a show or fashion show, to be seen, to be recognized, to draw attention, or to stand out. She was supposed to cover herself with loose-fitting garments, with a loose-fitting dress. And that apparel in verse 3 of 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter, verse 3 means a dress, an inner or outward dress. It was not pants. And in today's time, you see a lot of women wearing tight-fitting pants. And what those pants, those jeans or those pants do is show the woman's private parts. And no man needs to see it but her husband. And it's shameful. And the shape of her buttock, the shape of her private parts. This is the attire of harlots. Modest apparel, according to the scriptures in the Bible, was loose-fitting garments, a loose-fitting dress, not showing any parts of a woman's body. Those parts were to be for the husband. And it is a shame for a woman to show her nakedness. The Bible lets you know that in Leviticus, the 18th chapter. When you read through that, what was the punishment when a woman's nakedness was uncovered? It's shameful. And it's disrespectful. And it causes that woman to be looked upon because she's operating in the spirit, the demon spirit of harlotry. And Satan is behind it. Modesty is the best policy. And women, we have to have that coverage. We have to cover ourselves in modest apparel of good behavior, professing holiness, having that coverage. Modest apparel is the best policy, and the policy is modesty.